Tuesday, man, unbelievable. These weeks go pretty fast, don't they? I have a very special guest with me today. My gosh, we've been on fire, to be honest with you. We've had phenomenal guest after phenomenal guest. Today is no different. I want to introduce you all to Walker. Man, that just brought me back to Texas, Walker.
Everybody does. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Walker McKay, which is really cool. Are you in Texas?
No, I'm in South Carolina.
You're South
I've
Carolina.
been to Texas half a dozen times, but I'm not from there.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so this Walker McKay, and today we're going to be talking about sales and how to build phenomenal sales teams, because if you're just on the phone all the time, that's a problem, and we'll get into that in a minute. But Walker, thanks for being on the show, brother. Appreciate it.
Absolutely welcome. Well, guys, I'm really honored. I have watched a bunch of your shows. You do great stuff, Akbar, and it's an honor to be on it. So thanks for including me.
Oh, thanks, man.
Sure.
I didn't know anyone watches my shows. That's nice.
I am a fan.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Sure.
You know, sales is interesting. Well, it's the bloodline to obviously any business. I love the fact that we're talking about sales teams, because too many people, and I know, and this is not, and I'm not knocking anybody, okay, but too many people I feel are closing their own deals. Okay, I did. Okay, I've closed 7 figures worth of my own deals. I'll be honest with you, I feel like God gave me a gift though, and that gift was I got burnt out. I couldn't do it anymore. I got to the point where I just could not. I just wanted to throw my phone in the ocean. I was just done, because all the phone calls were getting to be the same, and you pick up the patterns and you know what they're going to say before they say it. It's like watching the same movie over and over again. Mm-hmm. I just couldn't do it anymore, and I burnt out. And that's actually when I had to build a sales team, which was a real blessing, to be honest with you, because it freed up my time to work more in my business on procedures and systems, and things on vision, and building out other teams and these types of things to scale. So I'm very happy to talk about this. I actually didn't know we were going to talk about this today. I actually got the wrong paperwork today. I thought we were talking to a forensic psychologist or something. I was like, man, what the hell are we going to talk about?
I can play with it. I stayed in a Holiday Inn last night. Holiday Inn, right? I can play with those.
And then right before we got on the air, I found out, no, we're talking to
wrong dude.
We're talking to sales team experts.
Well, I've been looking forward to it. Even though you didn't know you were looking forward to it, I've been looking forward to this.
No, absolutely. So, Walter, talk to me. Like, I'm going to guess that most people who are building the sales teams, they're late, meaning that they should have done it a while ago. But better late than never. The best time to plant the tree was 20 years ago. The second best time today. But do you feel that by the time most people get to you to build a sales team, man, you should have done this like a while back?
I don't know if it should have. Some of them needed to scale sooner. I think it's often people's expectations are wrong. And I did a video about this morning. In that a lot of times people come to me and say, look, I want to hire a killer sales team. What I want to do is find people with experience in my field who already have a book of business, who work on 100% commission that I don't need to manage or motivate. They're already self-motivated. I want to find some of those guys. Yeah. And what I tell people is that's really neat. And there are a hell of a lot of us out here, but we're your competitors. Right. We're already working. We're either that or we're going to be soon. And so I think it's a false thing to believe that you can just find all these people out there who's self-motivated, who can do their own thing because they're not going to come work for you. Why the hell would they?
It's interesting. People have these pipe dream ideas. I know this. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hire a salesperson. I'm not going to pay them anything. They're going to get 100% commission. I'm never going to talk to them. They're going to get the calls. I'm going to collect all this money.
Yes.
My experience is that, look, it's a beautiful thing when you have a salesperson, but you have to keep on top of it. Now, what I have done that's worked is I've hired a sales manager, and that sales manager will get like 5%. And he'll get a salesperson under him who gets about 15%. But the sales manager, he handles the motivation, the KPIs, listens to the recordings, he manages the sales team. I happen to like that model. So far, I happen to like that model. Maybe the best.
I've got some, here's what I find in corporate America. A lot of times sales managers, I guess bigger picture, I believe that the owner of the business is probably generally the best salesperson there because they have the vision, they got the most at stake, and they know how to talk the game. But I also think the owner of the business needs to be aware of sales, and they need to understand sales completely. It's not something they can offload to somebody else 100%. Also, we can hire a sales manager. In order for the sales manager to be effective, my belief is that they've got to be really good at managing a process and holding people accountable to doing what I call behaviors, which are how many phone calls you're going to make and how many meetings are you going to have and how many networking events are you going to attend. And so a lot of times people say I don't want to micromanage my people. Well, that's not micromanaging. That's freaking managing. And that's how and most people will manage based on, they closed this month, this much this month. Well, that's a lagging indicator. The leading indicator is what's the work they're doing to do that. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. And Walker, I want to apologize. I didn't give you a proper introduction. Can you tell everybody a little bit of that? Like, well,
sure.
Who's Walker? Why should we listen to Walker?
Yeah. I'm some guy from South Carolina. I'm the principal and founder of a company called No BS Sales School, which means I help companies build better sales teams. I teach systems and processes. I'm not the right fit for everybody. Typically, owners come to me and say things like, we got to be better at sales. I'm frustrated because it's taking too long to close things, or I'm mad because I keep having high turnover in the sales team, or we're selling on low price. I can't get my guys to get margins like they're supposed to. So I help companies with consulting work and with training work get involved and fix that kind of stuff.
I love it. I mean, again, sales is the bloodline. With me, right? It took me a while to find. Because here's my thing, just because you can sell something to someone, doesn't mean that you should.
Correct.
So a very good salesperson can sell anything to anyone. I'll sell you the paint off the wall, right? But my number one thing is I would listen to people, like my salespeople on the phone, and they're ready to give this guy a pitch. I'm like, why are you giving this guy a pitch? This is not the right client. This is not my ideal. This is not my dream client.
Correct.
And I think what people don't understand, and sometimes it's like, and there's a dark side of this too. Like, well, dude, I need to make some sales.
Yeah.
We're going to try our best to help them. That happens in every company, and that, that it really shouldn't. For me, for a sales team, my number one priority was really the ethics of it. Like, are you
100%?
Are you going to only sell to those who are a good fit? And are you going to be honest in what they're going to get? Our expectation is going to be clear, because I've had bad teams before that will kind of will promise things that I never even mentioned.
Yep.
Right? And people get nervous about that. They're like, oh man, I hire a salesperson. I'm not in control anymore. I don't know what they're saying. I'm kind of the face of my company. Okay. Let me tell you something. Will the closing percentage go down if you're doing the sales or a salesperson's doing sales? Listen, the sales percentage, in my opinion, and Walter, let me know what you think, it will go down a little bit, I think. But overall, you're going to make a lot more money.
What I tell business owners is that your job is, like you mentioned, Akbar, is I see as a CEO has three kind of roles. One is, and I think you're already there, is chief visionary, right? Where's the company going? How do you get people to buy into that? Number two is chief team builder. How do you find the right players who fit in on your team that fit your culture? And number three is chief sales officer. What I mean by that is maybe you're not the guy who's making every single cold call. We want to get away from that. But there are some larger, more sophisticated deals, some bigger ones that you can get in because you are the owner of the company. I think you need to be effective at those things. I think your sales team needs to be, I agree with you that maybe some people can sell people everything. I really don't believe people can sell anybody anything. I think people like to buy. And I think we want to give them the opportunities to buy. And the way I believe the best way to do that is to be, and this sounds kind of dumb, but in my mind, selling is having somebody trust you enough to give you money to make a problem go away. And I think as soon as we get into the convincing stage and the pressure stage, where because we have to make a sale because it's important to us, I think that lowers our chances of getting a sale when we're more desperate. And I think the best salespeople, you said, can sell anybody anything. I think the best salespeople are willing to walk away from deals that are not the right fit, whether the customers being a jerk, or whether it's just not who we're looking for, or whatever's wrong. If the salesperson is confident enough in their pipeline to be able to say, look, it sounds to me like we're not going to be the right fit for you, I'm going to call this a no. That to me is the greatest sales guy. And it doesn't matter how bad the salesperson needs to sell, because that doesn't impact the customer at all. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. It makes sense. And it's funny what you said. People like to buy. It's true. People, buyers buy. Everybody likes to buy. Except for Indians. Indians, they don't like to buy, do they? They're kind of a troublesome group, aren't they? There are some groups. We don't want to stereotype, but hey, look. In my experience, statistically, there are some groups. They just don't want to. They're a lot more difficult to sell. There are some groups.
Absolutely, of course.
And we're having fun with everyone, guys. We're not trying to offend anybody. Of course I have some Indian blood in me, so I'm poking fun. But sales teams fascinating. Let me ask you something. Somebody's fresh, they're doing all right. Hey man, I'm doing okay, but I'm getting like 5 calls a day here. I can't do this anymore. Okay. All I'm doing is calls. I don't have time to build my business. It takes a mature person to realize that. Walk us through what should they do here to build a bit of a sales team?
Okay, so,
and by the way, guys, if you have any questions, Walker's a guy who creates sales teams for top companies. So if you have any questions, I'm gonna kind of put you on the spot here. But yeah, go ahead.
So the first thing is, I would think, so somebody they're running their business, they're doing all the sales, they're doing everything else. I think the first thing you need to do is describe to yourself and write down what are the qualities of the person you want to hire. More than the job, tell me about the kind of person you want to hire, right? Mm-hmm. And so, and describe that person. And I would say it depends upon the personality and the culture you're trying to build. But maybe I want to hire somebody. I would say there are a couple of basics. I would say number one is somebody with a good work ethic, right? Yeah. Somebody who has a proven track record work ethic, don't mind making calls, don't mind doing the work. Number two, somebody that is, they can have a long-term view.
Yeah.
Because most people get into sales or they change jobs and they believe it's going to be different for them. It's not going to be that hard because for whatever thing that they possess, it's a new company, they're just going to roll right in. What I'll tell you is that is 100% a lie you tell to yourself. Everybody that comes in the company is going to struggle because it's hard. Sales is hard. If it wasn't hard, you wouldn't be able to make so much money.
That's true.
Another quality I would look for, it's just, what does their demeanor need to be? What do they need to dress like? What is that person that's going to be the face for your company? What are you looking for there? So define that first.
Sounds kind of like a customer avatar.
It is.
Yeah.
But this one's inside your company that's representing you every single day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that begins before the job description. It begins with who's the person, because my belief is you can train people skills. I think most of the time people that want to, if you're trying to hire somebody with a book, I want to hire somebody in the business who's already got a book they can call on. I think that's often a fool's errand, because a lot of times the salesperson is so confident they're going to be able to move their book, and the company's so hoping that they're going to move the book, and then it doesn't come. What I find is usually people that think it's going to be 10 customers they're going to move or 100, it ends up being about 25. About 25%. 25% is what they use your rule of thumb.
KPIs. Obviously, most people are not very organized. They don't follow. They don't put the spreadsheets in. They don't insert all the calls, and they don't have a proper idea of how even KPIs work. Like they'll judge based on the size of the contract, not cash collected.
Yes.
What are kind of some of your some mistakes you see people making in their tracking?
Sure.
Of sales, and what kind of advice do you have for them?
Sure, and maybe this is common. I only know what I do and what my common practices are. But KPIs, for those that don't know, are key performance indicators, right? And that's what you have, Akbar, key performance indicators.
Oh yeah.
What I want people to measure, a lot of times, what people measure, their KPI is the money in the door, size of the contract, which is fine, right? I don't care. That's a good indicator. It is a lagging indicator. It's what happens after the work. And so the KPIs I like to follow are how many, and it depends upon the business, inside sales, outside sales, whatever, how many dials are they making? How many conversations are they having? How many meetings are they setting? From those meetings, what's happening next, right? I want to measure those things, because what I know is if I put somebody on the phone and they're making the reps, they're making the phone calls, and they're making, I don't care what the number is, call it 50 a day, and they're setting 5 appointments, and from those appointments are coming 2 sales, then if I want to improve that.
So you're talking about cold calling.
Can be cold calling. Maybe another KPI is networking events. Maybe it's how many, I'll tell people go to, depends on the business and what are you doing? How do you do that? But I define a networking event as any place that you go where you can ask somebody else, where you find somebody else you can talk to about business in the next 48 hours. So I don't care if that's church or a cocktail party or something called a networking event, but I tell a lot of my clients, I want you to go to at least 2 of those a week. And why I define it as having one is after you've come out of there with at least 2 people you can call about business in the next 48 hours.
Yeah.
Another one is referrals asked for. How many referrals have you asked for in the last week? And 92, I read this statistic about a week ago, it made me sick to my stomach. 92% of salespeople ask for referrals less than twice a year. 92%.
Oh, yeah. Basically,
they don't ever do it.
Yeah, no. And it's funny too, because people, you see, one of the most powerful ethical principles of persuasion is reciprocity.
Yes,
I think.
All about it.
Now, you spend all this time cultivating a relationship. You've given them some value. And in return, people want to do something for you.
Yep.
But then we don't ask.
Yep.
We don't ask for anything. A lot of times people come up to me, they message me and they say, hey man, listen, they've been following me for a while, this and that, man. Listen, I've got a lot of value from you. What can I do for you? Can I do anything for you? Unfortunately, most people don't, I don't have the time to kind of unpack that with them. But most people don't know how to position themselves or do messaging. If I go up to you and say, man, let me know if there's anything I can do for you. What are you going to say? All right, cool, thanks. It's not a good pitch. You say, hey, listen, I specialize in graphic design. Matter of fact, here's 3 pictures. Matter of fact, here's 3 of your banners I redid just for you. Here's what I do. If you need anything, let me know. Boom.
Bingo.
That is adding some value. But what here everyone does, oh, if I can do anything, let me know. If I can do anything, let me know. If I can do anything, let me know. They're sitting there waiting on the phone. Nobody's calling.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So sales is not just that. It's also selling yourself too.
Correct.
I
would tell you it's mostly if you're waiting on your product or your service to differentiate you, you're doing it wrong. I think that if you look, act, sound, taste like a salesperson, you're going to get treated like one, and that's generally not very good. And that what I find is nobody can tell that you're better until they see that you're different.
I'll tell you from my experience, and I have it written on my board here. When we used to do calls, and by the way, once in a blue moon, we have to, we still hop on one just to keep our finger on the pulse. Once in a blue, I'll do one.
Yeah.
They say they like our style. They say, man, this is conversational. It's because I talk to them like I know them. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Because we're not really trying to sell anybody anything. We're trying to see if we can help them. We're trying to see if we can serve them. But I like to do a lot of the selling before I get on the phone, to be honest with you. I kind of refuse to talk to anybody unless they've seen some sort of content from me. Do you know what I mean? Because cold calling, that's another beast. And hey, listen, maybe we're missing out. I don't know. I've always liked warm calls, to be honest with you. I like people coming to us. They've seen some content. Dude, I like this guy. Let me talk to this guy.
Sure.
That's what I like.
And the only reason you'd make cold calls is if there was some reason that you had not, if there's somebody out there that's not calling you, and maybe it's a strategic reason you reach out. And if you're starting the business, it's where you start, right?
Yeah. And
so, it's where if you got nothing else to do the first day on the job, you're starting to call people you don't know. And after that, you can start networking. And then after that, when you start building a funnel, then you can have people that are reaching out to you. And then when you find out that you're not getting the right ones, you change your funnel, or maybe you say, shoot, I got to reach out to this guy directly. Yeah. Most salespeople, I would say most people hate cold calls because it's work. And it's not so easy. People showing up saying, hey, here's my money. Will you take it from me? But I'll tell you, if there is somebody you're trying to get to, and what's the difference between a cold call and a warm call? You're linked with somebody on LinkedIn. Is that a warm call? Most of that difference between cold and warm is between our own ears.
Well, that's an interesting perspective.
A warm call is the only one that they've called you, or is it one somebody you've talked to in the past, or what?
Yeah, for me, a warm call is like someone who's gotten value from my content, and they're just like, "Damn, dude, okay." For example, we help coaches launch seven-figure. We help entrepreneurs launch seven-figure coaching businesses.
Sure.
Okay, so let's just say there's a guy out there who he has an existing business. He wants to add a coaching module to it, a coaching element to it, or you have a guy who's talented who wants to open a coaching business, or you have an existing coach who's struggling, and now he sees me talking about sales. He's like, dude, I've been going about this all wrong. This guy makes so much sense.
Sure.
I need this guy. I need his help to grow my business. To me, that's a warm lead.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
That's a warm lead, sure. And do you ever find that the person that picks up the phone and calls you is not the one you want to work with?
Definitely.
So, I spend a lot of time talking with people, and probably 8 out of 10 people I talk to, I end up disqualifying. They're not ready for me yet. They're not the right fit. And it doesn't mean they're a bad person. Doesn't mean you're not going to help them. Huh?
How long does that take you to disqualify them?
It depends. It depends upon the person. Sometimes it's quickly as 3 minutes. Sometimes it's, I don't want to spend, depending on the situation, I don't want to spend more than an hour on the phone with somebody. But usually I can get to the point.
An hour is a long time to disqualify someone, no?
It depends on what we're talking about, right? If we're talking about spending a couple $100,000 on your sales team, I'll probably spend 15, 20 minutes with you on the phone, and we'll decide whether or not we get together face to face.
Right.
And I'm doing steps along the way. And if somebody's not, what I tell people is, look, if I get the feeling I'm not going to be the right fit, I'm going to tell you so. And I want for you to do the same for me. If at any given point you're not sure you want my help, and I'm going to do everything I can to convince you don't need my help. If you're not sure you want it, then let's call it a no right now. Yeah. Because just like what you do, Akbar, I need people to be committed to make a difference. Because it's easy to say, I've hired a coach, but if they don't do anything with it, if they're not committed to show up and do the damn work, I don't want them as a client.
Yeah. No,
you hire the greatest coach in the world, but if you don't take any of his advice, but just show up for the laughs and to brag about it, you're wasting your money. Because people love to say, I work with Akbar. Yeah, but if you're not doing the work, who cares? Right? You don't want somebody walking around who you've been coaching and they say, oh, you work with Akbar, how's it going? They say, well, my business really hadn't changed. That looks bad on you. I don't want that guy as my client. I don't want that business owner as my client who says, well, it really hadn't changed because they weren't willing to do the hard stuff to make it better. Yeah. To fire the people, put in the processes, do the stuff that's necessary.
I think one lesson people can really derive from all this is really how big of a factor mindset is.
Yes.
Most people, I think, mindset, every time this word comes about, I get upset, to be honest with you. I don't even want to talk about it.
Why?
Oh, I get upset because I love entrepreneurs.
Yeah. And
I want them to win. But the problem is, in order for them to win, they need to internalize that this whole game is just 90% mental. But they refuse to. They all just want the 3 ticks on the 3 ways to get a client today and all that crap.
Yeah, they want to
polluted with. And they don't want the mind. They don't want the vegetables. They don't want the mindset. They want the smoke and mirrors. They don't know it's smoke and mirrors.
Hack, right? Everybody wants the sales hack. They want the
hack. So it depresses me. I tell you, the guys who are crushing it, they're not. I've hung out with them. They're not that. I mean, I'm talking like making. Man. Well, no. I mean, listen. I'm talking about big. Big. They're not that. A lot of them, honestly, are. And I'm telling you, very non-biased. They're not very intelligent, but they have a killer mindset.
Yeah.
I mean, an unbelievable mindset.
You work with Hank Norman? I'm not saying he's really smart. Do you work with him?
Oh, I thought you were making a joke. Yeah, I've worked with Hank Norman. Yeah,
I love Hank Norman. And one of the things he's taught me, I've worked with him for about a year, and I just think he's been a life changer for me.
Yeah.
One of the things that he has told me is, that number one thing that people buy is personality.
Yeah.
Number 2 thing they buy is passion. And number 3 is your actual product.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you see it all the time. People pay a lot of money for a mediocre product.
Ain't that the truth?
They do. You don't have to have the best product to get the most money. I mean, look. I mean, how long does Microsoft Windows was the killer software program when Apple was 10 times better? Right. So people are paying. They pay for what they know. Right. They pay for what makes them comfortable.
That's true.
And so what we have to show people is that we are, before they can see that we're better, they got to see that we're different, right? And so your job, I feel like as a salesperson, differentiate yourself. And that can come from mindset. That can come from what you're willing to say and how fast you're willing to disqualify people and tell them you're not right for everybody, because you're not.
those few lines you just said, very few lines, but they're very heavy.
Like what?
I think people, well, those few things you just said, it's very heavy. You know what I mean? Then people, I think, need to take a minute to internalize that because, we say people buy the personality, and then they buy the product.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to talk about the product first. So I think that's really, really powerful. Now, Walker, sorry, we're a couple of minutes over.
Yeah, that's cool.
So there's two questions. Is it two?
Sure.
Hold on, I never remember if it's two or three.
Ah.
This is the speed round portion
all right.
of the show. I think there is two. There's three. There's three speed round questions. You ready?
I'm ready, buddy.
Speed round questions. Question number one. How obviously you have a very successful business. How has you're obviously on the show Impact Playerz, so Impact's a big part of your business. How has Impact shaped the growth of your company?
How has Impact, like your company, shaped the growth of my company?
No, sorry. Let me rephrase that. How has you being impact driven shaped the growth of your company?
So I've had about 1 million chances to, starting your own business, people dream about it. Actually doing it's hard as hell. And there are 1 million reasons why you shouldn't, and 1 million times you can quit. I am absolutely driven to at least make half the salespeople on the planet not be cheesy and pushy. And I am determined to do that and to be people that tell the truth. And so I know that I have this thing that I know that I've learned that I need to share with people, and nothing slows me down.
I love it. I absolutely love it. That's a powerful why, and I think a lot of us can support that. Question 2 of 3 in speed round. If this was today, for some bizarre reason, the last interview you've ever done, the world's ending right after this interview.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a cryptic thing to think about. But if the world is ending and it's the last time for you to give a message out to the people, what is it that you want to tell everyone?
I want to tell people that I want them to love themselves, that we're our own worst critics. And if they can learn to love themselves and to forgive themselves, that everybody's got flaws and mistakes, and you need to forgive yourself and give yourself a pass and move on. And that would solve a lot of things.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Yeah, no, that's beautiful. Wow. Can we all just do that right now? Can we just give ourselves permission to just love it?
Yeah, I forget. I mean, just the powerful words, I forgive myself.
I'm guilty of that. I'm very hard on myself, to be honest.
Everybody is.
Yeah, I'm really hard.
We're our worst critics. If you think about it, having somebody like us, imagine if the voice inside your head was screaming at you in your office, you'd want to kick that guy out. But instead, they carry around your head all day. You're the man for keeping me on here so long. I didn't mean to keep you long.
No, not at all. Not at all. It's beautiful. I mean, you're saying very beautiful and poignant things. I really appreciate this interview, actually.
Me too.
Excellent. Last thing is, obviously you're brilliant. People, I'm sure, want more. Where can they find you?
So, a couple of places. I have a Facebook group called No BS Sales Community. It's an open group. My email address is walker@walkermckay.com. I have a podcast called the No BS Sales Podcast. There's anywhere you listen to podcasts. And I have a free giveaway. It's something that is called 7 Sales Mistakes. It's a little video series. It's free. It's the number 7, www.7salesmistakes.com. Maybe show you some things that you've been doing wrong. Got some contact information for me in there, but somebody
like that. That's a nice one right there. 7salesmistakes.com. I like that. I like that a lot. 7salesmistakes.com. I like the number 7. When we had our first webinar, 7 ethical principles of persuasion.
Love it.
What are the 7 steps? What are the 7 things we did to help 7 funnels hit 7 figures? That was one of our things. Unfortunately, it's funny when we helped the 8th one. I'm like, shoot,
I gotta find a 9th or a 7th.
It's funny I think for a while we didn't tell anyone because we wanted to just keep it at 7, and then I think eventually we went on to 8. Unfortunately, I might go back to 7.
You could say the 7 next instead. Akbar, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I hope that somebody's gotten some value from this.
Oh, and I guarantee it. I absolutely guarantee it. Very, very valuable information. Seriously. Thank you. It's a very, very important topic, and I really appreciate you spending some time with us and giving us shining some of your light on us. Thank you. Man, we wish you nothing but the best, and let's keep in touch.
Thank you. I look forward to it. You guys call Akbar, hire him. He is awesome.
Thank you.
Don't miss the opportunity.
Oh, that's very nice of you. Well, I'll shamelessly take that plug, and I'll go ahead and give my website. Then, if you're gonna be nice, you can go ahead and go to my website, guys.
Awesome. Go to the website, sign up, get his stuff.
A little shameless plug. I appreciate that.
Love it. That's what the hell this is for.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks, man. We'll talk real soon. Peace.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.